have limits. Farmers have been trying for years to get bigger pigs. Do you think they'll ever get a pig as big as Texas? No. My whole point is there are limits. We have roaches in Florida, big ones. Roaches eventually become resistant to pesticides, but they will never become resistant to a sledgehammer. We could spend hours on the resistance. I only got a few minutes left here, but I grew up in Illinois, corn country. There are so many kinds of corn, they have to number them. You drive down the highway and there's BX65. You know, don't mix it up with XL29. Something will explode. But I'll tell you what, folks, you can crossbreed corn from now till the cows come home, and you're always going to get corn. You never get a hamster or a whale or a tomato to grow on your corn stalk, okay? Variety of dogs. This Irish textbook calls it divergent evolution. Oh, come on. A poodle and a terrier coming from a wolf is not divergent evolution. Don't give it a fancy name. It's still a dog, okay? It's a variety of dog. And there are thousands of examples of variations that happen within the kinds. And creationists don't argue about that. Variations happen. But the point is, they're still the same kind, which is precisely what the Bible said would happen. Tomorrow is the Kentucky Derby. You know, in the last 100 years, they've gone from an average winning speed of 127 to an average winning speed of 123. Even in the old days, they got some good times turned in. How much money would you guess has been spent on the Kentucky Derby trying to get faster horses? I don't know if they reached the absolute limit for horse speed or not, but I suspect they're getting kind of close. I mean, if you really want to win the Kentucky Derby, why don't you breathe wings on your horse and fly around the track in 12 seconds? The whole point is, variations happen, but they're limited. This magazine, you can order chickens. What kind you want? Red Rocks, White Rocks, Cherry Eggers, Brown Leghorns. And then it says, jungle fowl are the original bird from which all varieties and strains of domesticated chickens are derived. Did you know all the chickens had a common ancestor? It was a chicken. Creationists don't argue. Variations happen. God created an incredible gene code in each of the original kinds of animals, and they can produce a wide variety of offspring. Some of them can live in the cold weather, and some can live in the hot weather. And they probably had a common ancestor. No argument. But that's not evolution. Tonight you're going to hear three different opinions. Tonight, the right one, which you just heard, and then two others. God created this world in 6 literal days. He made it with the animals with a variety to produce an incredible variety of offspring. Then he destroyed this world with a flood. And the Bible teaches he's going to come destroy it again one of these days, pretty soon. And if you're not ready for that, you ought to get ready soon. Thank you.
The second of our opening statements on the subject matter of how did we get here and when did we arrive is Kyle Frazier.
Just this. Wow, what a hard act to follow, and especially seeing all raise your hands and realizing that we're in quite a bit of a minority here. I would just like to start out by saying a brief thank you. In particular to you for your kind attention, and I would also like to say my appreciations to Drs. Hovind and Dr. Shermer for attending here tonight. I hope you understand. After preparing for this, and this is the first such event like this for myself, I can honestly say I've never worked for anything any harder in my life and still feel totally unprepared. So you'll just have to accept that the amount of time and sacrifice that they took to be here and participate was a significant sacrifice. Second, I would also like to thank my science advisory team, Jeff McCallum, Paul Knighthus, Walter Remine, whom you may meet at our book table in the back. I would like to start out just kind of by clarifying the purpose of debates. I don't know about you guys, but I've been to a few debates in my life, and I always kind of went there thinking, well, you know, when I get there, I'm going to find, you know, we're going to change. Everybody's going to get up there, and it's going to change a lot of people's views. And the hope is that, you know, people go with me. Why don't we turn this one off, and I'll take one from the table. Still not with me? Here we go. Okay. But the point I used to come to these debates and think, oh, okay, great. We're going to see somebody get up there and say something that's going to change Michael Shermer's mind, and he's he might come out of here with a totally changed person. Or maybe that people that came here are going to be in that same, they're going to go through a change process, and we can actually see that before our eyes. And I would just like to clarify that I don't really believe that this kind of a dialogue has that purpose, to get people here who are going to change their view. Because actually, if we're trying to get people to a point where we've got a majority, for example, that's already been accomplished, hasn't it? But the rest of you still came here for one reason. You still want to interact with this dialogue. Why is that? Because there's a sense of curiosity, a sense of seeking, that this isn't something that you can set in concrete and say, I have this established. And for that reason, I don't think the purpose is to establish a consensus or a majority. I like to quote from Tom Sawyer when he says, well, hain't we got the majority of people, majority of fools in town on our side? And hain't that a majority in almost any place? The truth of the matter is that you can almost always form a consensus. But the point shouldn't be to form a consensus. I think rather of the quote by Abraham Lincoln when he said, when asked by a Union soldier, do you think, President Lincoln, that the Lord is on our side? And Lincoln said, well, I don't think that the issue here is that